I came up, those of you who know me know that I came up in the industry in New York. I cut my teeth here, working for big suppliers and working with big distributors, and then ended up working around the United States in all different markets. And I've learned a lot over those years. And quite honestly, I've learned most of what I know by failing. I was chatting with someone about this last night. I've made every mistake in the book, and I've learned from those mistakes and gotten wiser about how to approach this business. And so hopefully you'll see some of that in our solution. And for me, it's really about execution. I'm a big believer that execution is everything. We all know great products, wonderful products, high quality products that have failed. And we all know terrible products that succeed. And it's very frustrating if you're on one side or the other, depending on which product you have. My point is that execution is the difference maker, right? The difference between you and success, or your brands and success, is execution. And that's where we come in. We try to bridge that gap and help you execute to achieve your full potential. And so we follow a very simple methodology. We're not Bain Consulting or anyone like that, but we've learned quite a bit about methodology in terms of your sales process and your route to market, or how you go to market. And we've tried to boil this down into a methodology that's leveraged throughout the Grapevines applications, okay? And it's about planning, executing, measuring, and then refining. And we try to leverage that throughout every piece of our solution. So let's start with your plan, right? First of all, you all have great products. That's the starting point, okay? We're not going anywhere near that. But when it comes to your sales strategy, do you have one, right? And how precise is it? How well are you communicating it? Does your sales team know? Do your distributors know what your strategy is? It needs to be clearly defined in terms of which segments you're going after, for which brands, and what type of activities you want to execute, et cetera, right? So it starts with that. But once you have that, you need to go and execute that strategy with precision and scale. And obviously, we've got distributors in the room who do that every day. We have suppliers in the room who have smaller teams, but are also out executing, right? Key accounts and other things, and helping their distributor execute. So we're going to show you how you can use Grapevines to execute, with excellence when you're in the field and with precision. But then throughout that, you've got to be able to measure what you're doing, okay? You meet a lot of companies who say, oh yeah, we do that. We've got a program with our team to, try to get cocktail menus. And you say, well, how are you doing with that? And they say, I'm not really sure. Let me ask my distributor, or I don't know, let me go find a report. And you'll see someone has a PowerPoint that was put together where the data's 4 months old and there's some pictures in it, and it's not tied to sales data. So it's very important to be able to measure what you're doing as you're doing it, right? It's mission critical to execute well. And then lastly, there's really a layer on top of that, which is about analyzing the business. Not just, how did we do against our goals, but actually what worked, and where do we see our sales being lifted by certain activities, right? And in what segments do we see opportunity in, et cetera. So there is, within our platform and our solutions, the ability to do all of these things throughout all the different initiatives you're going to want to execute. And we're going to show you how to do that stuff today, okay? Good. So very quickly, when you're coming to planning and how you're using Grapevines for that, a couple of best practices are, hey, are you segmenting your accounts? A lot of companies still aren't doing that, right? Are you targeting the accounts you want to be in? What are your key accounts? The 80-20 rule is in full effect in our industry. 80% of the accounts are going to do, 20% of your accounts are going to do 80% of your business. Do you know which one of those accounts they are? Do you know which accounts they are? You need to, okay? When it comes to executing, you need to have a mobile tool in the field for your reps to execute against your strategy, against your roadmap, right? They need to know what they need to do. They need to use the tool to do their jobs better and be more productive, okay? And that's what our mobile application is all about. And your measurement piece, for me, having analytics embedded into the application is absolutely essential. There are other solutions that exist for salespeople, a CRM tool or something, where they're using a device and they're able to record something they've done, but inside the app they have no analytics about anything else happening in the account, the sales in the account, or other historical data, et cetera, or a scorecard on what their goals are. So having embedded analytics is critical, and we need to make sure you have the right reports and dashboards embedded in your salespeople's mobile app to make them more productive and make them better and add that value to them. And then lastly, the refining piece. Boy, we've got a lot of data that we house in the application, right? We've got sales data, transactional data, but we also have all the activity data. We have some trade marketing and trade spend programming data. The ability to analyze that all in one place, right, gives you those insights to connect the dots. And we're going to show you a little bit about how some best practices around that to leverage those analytics to get the insights and turn them into action, turn them into your strategy. Right? So, plan, execute, and measure, refine. My last comment is, and the other two key elements to be successful and win, execute with excellence. Two things. Number one, keep it simple. We meet, and I've done this myself, and I've failed and learned. Overcomplicating a execution strategy is a sure way to fail. And we've all been in meetings, planning meetings before, where we're challenging our team to do something, and it's so complicated and convoluted that salespeople walk out and say, I don't even know what I'm supposed to be doing. Right? Keep it simple, right? Block and tackle. You know what drives the business. Execute those things. We're going to show you a little and talk a little bit more about that. And my last little soapbox piece of an insight that I have is in order to be able to execute better than your competition, you need to have your executives in the company also participating in that exercise. I'd like to tell this story. When I lived here in New York, I was a young guy. I was in charge of on-premise sales for a big company in Manhattan. And our CEO lived in Manhattan, unfortunately. And sometimes in the morning, I would get in the elevator and he would slip in. And I can tell you it's very uncomfortable to be riding up to the 18th floor with your CEO, and he was out to dinner last night. And he has questions about, hey, what's happening with this account? You know, it's a key account, and I didn't see this, or they didn't do that, or I saw a competitor there. And if you're looking back at him with a blank face, you're in big trouble. It's the holidays, and he would say, hey, how was that, big new, we've got a big initiative to secure these by-the-glass placements in these key accounts for the holidays. How's that going? And if you can't answer him, you're in big trouble. I've been there. I've been in that hot seat. And it's not a good place to be. Hopefully our application brings to you the ability to have that full insight into your business and execute it, with precision and full management oversight. But please think about ways to get your executives more involved in using Grapevines. It might be reviewing dashboards only. That's fine. But that helps drive your methodology through and helps drive the execution all the way down to make sure everybody's in line, doing what they're supposed to do, and improving your performance. Right? So those are a few of my best practices in general overall and sort of themes you'll hear, spurted out throughout the day.